And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Friday morning's flying weather graphic here showing a lot of marginal VFR over the Bering Sea, right on up into the Bering Strait. Another branch here down to the Alaska Peninsula across the Pribilof Islands. Pretty good VFR over just about all of the interior with some lower conditions here along the Alaska Range. And also some lower conditions here over the Gulf of Alaska and either side of Kodiak Island there, but VFR, southeast coast. And for the afternoon, pretty much VFR for interior Alaska and also for the North Gulf Coast right on down to Kodiak Island. All of the Panhandle stays VFR. Marginal VFR covering just about all of the Bering Sea here, all the way up to the Bering Strait and now into the Aleutians and right up along the southwest coast. And for Saturday morning, marginal VFR now sliding northward there and catching possibly Point Hope and Cape Lisburne. Otherwise, possible IFR for the western Seward Peninsula there and along the Yukon Delta coast. Otherwise, no change out here over the Bering Sea. And pretty much no change here over the interior. Lower conditions IFR to start the day out Saturday here. Upper Tanana Valley there, 40-mile country. But staying VFR for the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, Kodiak, all the way down the Panhandle to Dixon Entrance. And then for Saturday afternoon, big area of marginal VFR here appears over the eastern interior. Otherwise, south central Alaska into the Kuskokwim Valley, Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, all VFR. VFR for the eastern Arctic coast, into the Brooks Range. And now some moisture coming eastward here, spreading IFR, St. Lawrence Island, right into Kivalina on up to Cape Lisburne, and a branch extending southward there across the Pribilof Islands into the eastern Aleutians. And from there, taking a look at passes of the Brooks Range tomorrow, Anatuvik could possibly be marginal VFR, as well as Adigan. I think Adigan will go VFR there. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR flying for the western Alaska Range, as well as windy. And for Isabel, starting out marginal, becoming VFR, and same forecast for Mentasta, occasionally marginal VFR possible throughout the day. And Tanita, though, VFR, Portage VFR, Chilkoot and White VFR. Freezing levels here, 2,000 feet right up to the eastern North Gulf Coast there, and then down along the outer coastline of the Panhandle. And then some warmer air, anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 feet here, showing up over the west and southwest Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And moving on to the icing graphic here, nothing out over the Bering Sea or the Aleutians. The only area here looking at of isolated moderate icing would be for the North Gulf Coast, Kenai Peninsula area, right across Prince William Sound, northward across the Copper River Basin, possibly spilling into the Tanana Valley. And looking at the jet stream, 33,000 feet, big upper level high at this elevation over the northern Panhandle. Clockwise flow around that feature, anywhere from 70 to 80 knots. And then a narrow trough here right through the central interior. Northerly winds, 80 to 95 knots here across the western part of the state and the Alaska Peninsula. And at 9,000 feet, big high out here over the Aleutians, ridging northward there into the Bering Sea. Northerly winds 45 to 55 knots here on the eastern side of that ridge over the eastern Bering Sea and the western interior. Otherwise, not too bad here. Light winds at 9,000 feet here for the Panhandle Gulf of Alaska. And at 3,000 feet, looking at some easterlies up to 40 knots for the Arctic coast and portions of the North Slope. Light here over the eastern interior and the Panhandle. And then these north to northeast winds anywhere from 40 to 50 knots blowing out of the southwest coast down across the Alaska Peninsula. And from there, looking at turbulence, look for considerable moderate mechanical turbulence here over the southwest interior, as well as the Alaska Peninsula to the eastern Aleutians, and then isolated moderate turbulence possible up there along the Arctic coast, surface to about 4,000 feet.